Do-hyun floated through the debris field, his suit lights cutting through the darkness of space. Twisted metal and broken ships surrounded him on all sides. This was what remained after the collapse war, a graveyard of vessels that nobody wanted anymore. But Do-hyun saw opportunity where others saw trash. He had been a salvage engineer for 10 years now. While others looked for valuable metals or intact weapons, Do-hyun hunted for something different. He looked for technology that still had life in it, systems that just needed the right touch to wake up again. His reputation had spread through the outer colonies. When something seemed dead beyond repair, people called Do-hyun. Today's target was different from his usual finds. The ship ahead was massive, easily 3 times larger than anything he had worked on before. Its hull bore markings he recognized from his database as Velthari, one of the alien empires that had fallen during the war. The design was elegant, almost artistic, with flowing lines that human ships never bothered with. Do-hyun approached carefully. His scanner showed no active power signatures, no life signs, nothing. The ship was a corpse floating in the void. He found an airlock that had been damaged in whatever battle killed this vessel. With practiced efficiency, he cut through the warped metal and entered. Inside, emergency lighting flickered weakly. The corridors were tall and narrow, built for beings taller and thinner than humans. Do-hyun made his way toward the engineering section, following the layout his scanner provided. Everything was cold and still. Frost covered the walls where moisture had frozen in the absence of life support. The engineering bay was enormous. Crystal-like structures pulsed with dying light, connected by cables that looked more like organic vines than wires. In the center stood the power core, a sphere of dark metal covered in symbols Do-hyun couldn't read. His scanner showed it was still active, barely, running on emergency reserves that should have died years ago. Then he saw them. 2 chambers stood against the far wall, their surfaces covered in ice. Inside each chamber was a figure, tall and thin with pale blue skin. Velthari. The chambers were cryostasis pods, keeping their occupants frozen in time. Do-hyun's heart raced. Survivors. After all this time, actual survivors. He moved closer and checked the pod controls. The display was in Velthari script, but the power indicator was universal. Red, critical. The pods were failing. According to his readings, they had maybe 4 hours of power left. After that, the beings inside would die. Do-hyun studied the power core with growing fascination. The Velthari had built something incredible here, a system so complex that it seemed almost alive. But that complexity was the problem. Damage to one system had cascaded through dozens of others. Safety protocols had locked down entire sections. Redundant backups had exhausted themselves trying to maintain functions that no longer mattered. He pulled up his portable workstation and began analyzing the schematics his scanner had captured. The more he looked, the more he understood. The Velthari had over-engineered everything. Where a human ship might have 1 safety system, this vessel had 20. Where human design favored simplicity, the Velthari had chosen elaborate interconnected networks. Do-hyun smiled. He knew what to do. He started cutting, not physically but through software. He bypassed safety protocols that were preventing the core from accessing auxiliary power. He rerouted energy flows through conduits that the original designers never intended for main power distribution. He took components from 3 different damaged systems and created a hybrid connection that no Velthari engineer would ever approve. The work was delicate and dangerous. One wrong move and the core could explode, but Do-hyun had always trusted his instincts. He understood machines in a way that went beyond training or education. He could feel what needed to be done. 3 hours passed. His hands moved with precision, making changes that would horrify any safety inspector. He stripped away the complexity, the redundancy, the overcaution that had strangled this beautiful machine. He found the heart of the system and gave it room to breathe. The 4th hour began. Do-hyun made his final connection and held his breath. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the core hummed, not the dying whisper from before, but a strong, healthy pulse of power. Lights blazed throughout the engineering bay. Systems that had been dark for years roared to life. The floor vibrated with energy. Do-hyun checked his readings and laughed in disbelief. The core wasn't just working. It was running at 340% of its original efficiency. By stripping away the over-engineering and letting the system work more freely, he had created something better than the original design. The cryostasis pods chimed. Their displays turned green. Do-hyun watched as frost melted from their surfaces. Inside, the two figures began to move. Their eyes opened, glowing with a soft silver light. The pods hissed open. The first figure stepped out, moving with the grace of a dancer. She was tall, maybe 7 feet, with long limbs and that pale blue skin. Her face was angular and beautiful in an alien way. She wore some kind of uniform, dark and form-fitting with symbols of rank on the shoulders. The second figure emerged from the other pod, male Do-hyun guessed, with the same height and coloring but broader in the shoulders. His uniform matched hers. They both stared at Do-hyun with expressions he couldn't quite read. The female spoke. Her voice was melodic, but her words were in Velthari. Do-hyun's translator device struggled for a moment, then caught up. "Who are you? What have you done to our ship?" Do-hyun raised his hands in what he hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "I'm Do-hyun Kang, human salvage engineer. Your pods were dying, so I fixed your power core. You're welcome." The two aliens looked at each other, then at the glowing core, then back at Do-hyun. The male stepped forward and examined the workstation, reviewing what Do-hyun had done. His eyes widened. "This is impossible," he said. "You bypassed 17 primary safety systems. You used civilian conduits for military power loads. You created connections between incompatible systems. This should not work." "But it does work," Do-hyun said with a shrug. "Better than before, actually." The female moved to a control panel and began running diagnostics. Her fingers flew across the interface. She stopped, stared at the results, and looked at Do-hyun with something like awe in her silver eyes. "The core is operating at over 300% efficiency. In 4 hours, you accomplished what our best engineers could not do in centuries." She paused. "I am Kaylee. This is my brother Nixra. We are the last survivors of the Velthari Royal Fleet." "Nice to meet you," Do-hyun said. "So about my payment," Kaylee's expression changed. Her eyes narrowed and her posture became tense. "What price do you demand for this miracle, human?" Do-hyun thought about it for a moment. "Just pay me fairly and let me study your technology." "That's all I want." The twins exchanged another long look. Then Kaylee smiled, showing teeth that were slightly too sharp. "No," she said. "I have a better idea. One that will change your life forever." Kaylee led Do-hyun through the ship's corridors while Nixra remained in the engineering bay, still studying what the human had done to their power core. The vessel was coming back to life around them. Lights brightened. The air grew warmer as life support systems kicked in. Doors that had been sealed for years slid open at their approach. They reached what appeared to be a conference room. The table was made of some dark material that seemed to absorb light. Kale gestured for Do-hyun to sit. He did, feeling small in the chair designed for taller beings. "Before we discuss anything else, I need you to understand who we are and what happened to us," Kaylee said. She touched a panel on the table and a holographic display appeared, showing a star map. "The Velthari Empire once controlled 200 systems. We were one of the great powers of this region. Our technology was admired. Our military was feared. Our culture was ancient and proud." The display changed, showing scenes of beautiful crystal cities and elegant spacecraft. Then the images turned dark. Fire, destruction, ships exploding. "The Dominion came 3 years ago," Kaylee continued. Her voice was calm, but Do-hyun could hear the pain beneath it. "They are an alliance of 6 aggressive species. They wanted our territory, our resources, our trade routes. We refused their demands. We thought our military could defend us." "You lost," Do-hyun said quietly. "We lost." Kaylee nodded. "Our fleets were superior in technology, but the Dominion had numbers and tactics we could not counter. System by system, they pushed us back. Our admirals followed our traditional combat doctrine. It had worked for thousands of years. But the Dominion did not fight traditionally. They were unpredictable, aggressive, willing to take losses we would never accept." The hologram showed the final battle, hundreds of ships on both sides. The Velthari formations were perfect, geometric, beautiful. The Dominion forces were chaotic, swarming. The Velthari lost. Nixra and I commanded the Royal Escort Fleet, 6 ships, the finest our empire had ever built. When our homeworld fell, we were ordered to retreat and preserve what remained. We have been running for 6 months, moving through debris fields and dead zones where the Dominion rarely patrols. We were searching for allies, for weapons, for anything that could help us mount a resistance. Kaylee paused and looked directly at Do-hyun. "Instead, we found you. A human who can make our technology work better than we ever could. Do you understand how significant that is? Dohyun shifted in his seat. I just used common sense. Your systems were too complicated. I simplified them. Exactly, Kaylee said. That is something no Velthari would ever think to do. Our entire civilization is built on the idea that more complexity equals more capability. Our engineers spend decades learning protocols that were established thousands of years ago. We optimize for perfection. We never break the rules, she leaned forward. But you broke every rule in our technical manual. And it worked. Better than perfect. That is what we need. The door opened and Nixra entered carrying a datapad. I have analyzed the modifications in detail. The efficiency gains are not a fluke. The human's approach could be applied to all our systems. Weapons, shields, engines, everything. Dohyun's mind raced. Wait, you have more ships? 5 more, Nixra confirmed. All damaged in various ways. We have been unable to repair them fully because we lack the facilities and expertise. Our crew has tried, but we only managed to keep them barely functional. Your crew? Dohyun asked. How many people do you have? Kale brought up another display. 37 Velthari warriors and support staff, and 3 humans who joined us 2 months ago. They are mercenaries, former military. We needed pilots and tactical officers who could think differently than our people. The display showed images of the human crew members. Dohyun recognized one of them immediately. Is that Taijin Quan? You know him? Nixra asked. Know of him. He was an admiral in the Earth Defense Force before he went independent. Smart guy, bit reckless. The recklessness is what we need, Kaylee said. Which brings me to my offer. We want you to join us as our chief engineer, not as a contractor or consultant, as part of our command structure. You would have complete authority over all technical systems, access to every database we have, the resources to requisition whatever you need. Dohyun felt his heart pounding. You want me to fix all your ships? We want you to do more than fix them, Nixra said. We want you to revolutionize them. Apply your human approach to everything. Make our fleet into something the Dominion has never seen before. And then what? You fight back? 6 ships against the entire Dominion? Kayla's expression hardened. The Dominion is expanding. They will not stop with Velthari space. In 10 years, maybe 20, they will reach human colonies. They will make the same demands they made of us. Submit or die. By then it will be too late to resist. Better to stop them now while their forces are spread thin across our former territory. Dohyun stood and walked to the holographic display. He studied the map, seeing how close Dominion space was to the outer human settlements. She was right. This wasn't just about revenge for the Velthari. This was about stopping a threat before it became unstoppable. I need to know more, he said. Why do humans seem to be so different from you? Why can I see solutions that your engineers miss? Nixra answered. We have been analyzing this question since meeting Taijin and his team. The best explanation is cultural and evolutionary. The Velthari have not faced significant challenges in 5,000 years. We solved the problems of survival, scarcity, and conflict long ago. Our society became focused on refinement, on perfecting what we already had. We lost the ability to innovate under pressure. Humans, on the other hand, are still a young species, Kaylee added. You have not had the luxury of stability. Your history is full of conflict, disaster, and dramatic change. You learned to adapt quickly or die. That shaped how you think. You improvise. You take risks. You see problems as puzzles to solve rather than protocols to follow. Dohyun nodded slowly. It made sense. Humans were good at chaos because they had lived in chaos for their entire history. There is another factor, Nixra said. Human military doctrine. I have been studying Earth's wars. Your tactics are aggressive, unpredictable, and often seem illogical. But they work. You value surprise over symmetry. You accept casualties we would find unacceptable. You adapt faster than any species we have encountered. So you need human chaos to beat the Dominion, Dohyun said. Yes, Kaylee confirmed. Our way failed. We need to try yours. Dohyun thought about his life. Salvaging in debris fields was honest work, but it was lonely and dangerous. This offer was infinitely more dangerous, but it was also meaningful. A chance to actually make a difference instead of just picking through the ruins of other people's wars. I have conditions, he said. I need a team. Human engineers I can trust, people who think like me. And I need complete authority over modifications. No second guessing, no committees, no protocols that slow me down. Agreed, Kaylee said immediately. And I want to meet your whole crew. If I am going to work with them, I need to know who they are. That can be arranged. Nixra smiled. They are eager to meet the human who brought our flagship back to life. Do-Hyun took a deep breath. Then I accept, but we start with the Nightfall first. If I can show your crew what is possible, they will trust the process. Kale extended her hand in the human gesture of agreement. Welcome to the fleet, Chief Engineer Kang. I think you are going to change everything. As they shook hands, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Nixra ran to a wall panel and pulled up a display. We have a problem, he said, his voice tense. The power surge from the core activation was detected. Dominion scouts are inbound. 3 ships. They will be here in less than 2 hours. Do-Hyun felt ice in his stomach. Can this ship fight? Not yet, Kaylee said. Weapons are offline. Shields are at 30%. We can run, but they are faster. Do-Hyun looked at the engineering readouts on the display. An idea formed in his mind, wild and dangerous and possibly brilliant. Maybe we do not run, he said. Give me 90 minutes and I can get your weapons online. Impossible, Nixra said. It would take days to... I am not asking for perfect, Do-Hyun interrupted. I am asking for good enough to survive. That is what humans do best. Kaylee looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. Do it. We will buy you whatever time we can. Do-Hyun sprinted back to engineering with Nixra beside him. The Velthari moved with incredible speed, his long legs covering ground faster than any human could run. They burst into the engineering bay where crew members were already gathering, responding to the emergency alert. The crew was a mix of Velthari warriors in dark uniforms and 3 humans. Do-Hyun spotted Taejin immediately. The former admiral was shorter than the aliens but carried himself with confidence. A young woman with short black hair stood next to him, her pilot's jacket covered in patches from various mercenary units. The third human was adjusting communication equipment, her fingers moving rapidly across multiple screens. Everyone listen, Kaylee said, her voice cutting through the noise. This is Do-Hyun Kang, our new chief engineer. He has 90 minutes to get our weapons operational. You will follow his orders without question. Is that understood? The Velthari warriors looked uncertain. One of them, an older male with scars across his blue skin, stepped forward. With respect, Commander, this human has been aboard for mere hours. Our weapons systems are delicate and complex. Perhaps we should survive, Kaylee interrupted. That is our only priority. Do-Hyun has already done what our engineers could not. He will do it again. Do-Hyun cleared his throat. I need people on these stations. He pointed at various consoles around the core. You, monitor power distribution. When I make changes, I need immediate feedback on system stability. You 3 access the weapons control network. Find every backup power cell in the ship. And you... He pointed at the young woman in the pilot's jacket. What's your name? Nari Shin. Nari, I need you to run simulations on the targeting systems. They have been offline for months. We need to know if they will respond when we bring them back up. Nari grinned. Finally, something interesting. I'm on it. Taejin walked over to Do-Hyun. Good to have another human aboard. How bad is our situation? 3 Dominion scouts. Probably light cruisers. They will be here in less than 2 hours. And you think you can get weapons working in 90 minutes? I think I can get something working. Whether it will be enough, we will find out. Do-Hyun pulled up the weapon system schematics. They were even more complex than the power core. Redundant targeting arrays, multiple fire control protocols, safety systems within safety systems. He started cutting again. Not physically, but through software and power routing. He bypassed every safety protocol he could find. He rerouted power from non-essential systems like the secondary shield generators and auxiliary life support. He stripped the targeting system down to its most basic functions. The Velthari crew members watching him work looked horrified. One of them spoke up. You cannot do this. If the targeting system fails, the weapons could fire on our own ship. Then we will not let it fail, Do-Hyun said without looking up from his work. You said your way could not fix these systems in time. Let me try mine. Time became a blur. Do-Hyun lost himself in the work, his hands moving on instinct. The other human, the communications officer, brought him water and food bars which he consumed without tasting. Around him the crew moved efficiently, following his rapid-fire instructions. 60 minutes passed. The weapon system was responding, but not reliably. The targeting array kept losing lock. The power flow was uneven, It was not good enough yet. Nari's voice came over the intercom. "Dohyun, I have an idea. The targeting protocols are too rigid. They keep trying to achieve perfect lock before allowing fire. What if we lower the threshold? Accept 70% accuracy instead of 95%? Dohyun stopped and thought about it. In a normal situation, that would be unacceptable. But this was not normal. Do it. Survival beats perfection. Now you are thinking like a pilot, Nari said. He could hear the smile in her voice. 15 minutes later, the first weapon bank came online. A row of energy cannons that could fire controlled plasma bursts. They were operating at 60% power and the targeting was shaky, but they worked. How long until contact? Dohyun asked. 20 minutes, Taejin replied. The Dominion ships have dropped out of hyperspace. They are approaching in standard patrol formation. Standard formation. That is good for us. Dohyun brought up a tactical display. Their doctrine is predictable. Taejin, have you fought Dominion ships before? Twice, won once, lost once. They fight by the book. Then we do not. Dohyun pointed at the display. When they get in range, they will expect us to either surrender or run. Instead, we turn directly toward them and attack. They will not expect aggression from a damaged ship. One of the Velthari officers objected. That violates all tactical sense. We should use our mobility to what? Run out of fuel while they hunt us? No. Kaylee's voice was firm. We fight. Chief Engineer, continue your work. 10 minutes remained. Dohyun got the second weapon bank online. Then the third. The ship now had 50% of its original firepower. Not ideal, but enough to hurt someone. All crew to battle stations, Kaylee ordered. Pilots to the bridge. Engineering, keep those weapons stable. Dohyun followed Taejin and Nari to the bridge. The space was smaller than he expected, with stations for 10 crew members. Through the main view screen, he could see the 3 Dominion ships approaching. They were ugly things, all sharp angles and exposed weapons, built for function with no concern for beauty. Kaylee sat in the command chair. Nixra took the tactical station. Nari slid into the pilot's seat and her hands flew over the controls with practiced ease. They are hailing us, the Velthari communications officer reported. Ignore them, Kaylee said. Nari, plot a direct intercept course. Full speed. Now that is more like it. Nari's fingers danced. The ship lurched as engines engaged. On the view screen, the Dominion ships grew larger. They are breaking formation, Nixra reported. They were not expecting this. Weapons charging. They will open fire in 30 seconds. Shields to maximum, Kaylee ordered. All power to forward shields. Ignore the rear. Dohyun understood the logic. They were not running, so rear shields did not matter. Every bit of defensive power needed to be in front. 20 seconds to their weapons range. 15. Nari suddenly veered the ship hard to starboard. On the screen, one of the Dominion ships flashed past them. Its first volley missing completely. What are you doing? One of the Velthari officers shouted. Surviving, Nari said calmly. She spun the ship in a spiral pattern that should have been impossible for a vessel this size. Your ships are more maneuverable than you think. You just never push them. Dohyun gripped his seat as the ship twisted through space. Energy blasts from the Dominion ships lit up the darkness around them. Most missed. A few slammed into the forward shields, making the ship shudder. In weapons range, Nixra announced. Targeting lock is fluctuating 68%. Fire anyway, Kale ordered. Blue plasma erupted from the Nightfall's weapons. The targeting was indeed poor. Half the shots missed completely, but enough connected. The nearest Dominion ship's shields flared and collapsed under the sustained barrage. Their shields are down. Nari, bring us around. Nixra concentrated fire on that ship. Nari dove the Nightfall in a curve that felt like it was defying physics. The Dominion ship tried to rotate to bring fresh shields to bear, but it was too slow. The Nightfall's weapons tore into its hull. Explosions blossomed across its surface. Target 1 destroyed, Nixra reported, his voice showing the first hint of excitement. Target 2 is breaking off. Target 3 is pursuing. Let them pursue, Taejin said. That puts them in a predictable position. Nari, lead them on a chase, but keep them in our aft weapon arc. Nari grinned. I thought you would never ask. What followed was a deadly dance through space. Nari piloted the Nightfall like it was a fighter instead of a cruiser. She used asteroid debris for cover, made sudden direction changes that stressed the ship's systems to their limits, and kept the enemy exactly where she wanted them. The Velthari crew watched in amazement. This was not how their ships were meant to be flown. But it worked. Do-hyun monitored the weapon systems from an engineering station. Power distribution was chaotic, fluctuating wildly as Nari's maneuvers stressed the ship. But the systems held. His modifications had given them flexibility the original design never had. Target 3 is in position, Nyxra said. Firing. More plasma bolts, more hits. The Dominion ship's shields failed. Its engines erupted in a cascade of explosions. The ship went dark, drifting. Target 2 is running, Taejin reported. Heading for hyperspace jump coordinates. Let them go, Kaylee said. We want them to report this. Do-hyun looked at her in surprise. You want them to tell the Dominion about us? I want them to tell the Dominion that the Velthari are not finished. That we have found allies who fight differently. That we are dangerous again. Kale smiled. Fear is a weapon too. As the last Dominion ship vanished into hyperspace, the bridge crew erupted in celebration. The Velthari warriors, normally so composed, shouted in triumph. Nari high-fived Taejin. Even Nyxra allowed himself a small smile. Kaylee stood and walked to where Do-hyun was monitoring the engineering systems. 3 ships attacked us. 2 destroyed, 1 fled. With a vessel that was dead hours ago. With weapons that should not work. With tactics that should not succeed. She placed a hand on his shoulder. You have shown us something we had forgotten. That rules are meant to be broken. That perfect is the enemy of good enough. That sometimes chaos wins. She looked around at her crew, human and Velthari together. This is only the beginning. If we can do this with 1 ship, imagine what we can do with 6, with 60, with hundreds. Do-hyun felt the weight of her words. They had won 1 small battle. But the war was just starting. The small fleet moved through hyperspace toward the frontier colonies, 6 ships traveling together in formation. Do-hyun had spent 3 weeks upgrading each vessel, bringing them all up to the standard he had set with the Nightfall. The work was exhausting but exhilarating. Each ship presented new challenges, new opportunities to innovate. The crew had changed too. The Velthari warriors no longer questioned his modifications. They had seen the results. Some of them even started suggesting their own ideas, learning to think more flexibly. The barrier between the species was breaking down, replaced by mutual respect. Do-hyun stood in the engineering bay of the Nightfall, reviewing data on his tablet. Yuna Park, the communications officer, approached with a concerned expression. We are about to drop out of hyperspace near Hanul Station, she said. I have been monitoring their public channels. The station governor is not exactly friendly to outsiders, especially aliens. Does he have a choice? Do-hyun asked. We are not invading. We are recruiting. He might see it the same way. Yuna pulled up a file. Governor Jin Haseo, former Earth military, retired after a disagreement with high command, runs Hanul Station as an independent colony. The population is mostly Korean families who left Earth looking for more freedom. They do not trust Earth government, but they also do not trust aliens. Perfect, Do-hyun muttered. Nothing is ever easy. The fleet emerged from hyperspace in a flash of blue light. Hanul Station hung in orbit around a brown dwarf star, a massive wheel of metal and glass. Dozens of smaller ships docked at its ports. This was one of the largest independent colonies in the frontier. Immediately, warnings came across every channel. Unknown vessels, identify yourselves. You are in restricted space. Prepare to be scanned or you will be fired upon. Kale opened a channel from the Nightfall's bridge. Hanul Station. This is Commander Kale of the Velthari fleet. We come in peace. We request an audience with Governor Seo. There was a long pause. Then a gruff voice responded. Velthari, you are a long way from your territory. Or what used to be your territory. State your business. We are seeking recruits for our fleet. Engineers, pilots, tactical officers. We offer fair pay and the chance to fight against the Dominion. Another pause, longer this time. You are asking humans to fight in an alien war? Do-hyun grabbed a communicator from Yuna. Governor Seo, this is Do-hyun Kang. I am human and I am chief engineer of this fleet. Can we meet in person? I think you will be interested in what we have to offer. The silence stretched. Finally, the governor spoke. Dock at Port 7, come alone. And Kang? If this is some kind of trick, you will regret it. 2 hours later, Do-hyun, Kaylee, and Taejin walked through the corridors of Hanul Station. The place was busy with people going about their daily lives. Children played in the open spaces. Vendors sold food from stalls. It reminded Do-hyun of Earth cities he had visited as a young man, full of life and energy. People stared at Kale as they passed. Most had never seen a Velthari in person. Some looked curious, others frightened, a few hostile. Kale kept her posture calm and non-threatening, her hands visible at all times. Governor Jin Ha-seo's office was at the station's administrative center. The man himself was in his 60s with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. He sat behind a simple desk, arms crossed. "I watched the sensor recordings of your battle," he said without preamble. 3 Dominion ships. You destroyed 2 and scared off the 3rd with a single vessel. Impressive if the recordings are genuine. "They are genuine," Kaylee said. "And you did this how?" "Velthari technology is good, but the Dominion overwhelmed your entire empire." "What changed?" Do-hyun stepped forward. "I changed their technology. Made it better by making it simpler. Stripped away the over-engineering and let the systems work naturally. Human approach to alien tech." Jinha studied him. "You are asking me to let you recruit from my population. People who left Earth to get away from military conflicts. Why would they join an alien war?" "Because it will not stay an alien war forever," Taejin said. "I have studied the Dominion's expansion pattern. They move slowly but steadily. In 15 years they will reach the frontier colonies. In 25 they will reach Earth itself. Better to stop them now while we have time to prepare. Maybe Earth can handle them when the time comes." "Earth does not even know they are coming," Kaylee said quietly. "Your governments are looking inward, focused on your own politics. By the time they realize the threat, it will be too late." Jinha leaned back in his chair. "Let us say I believe you. Let us say I even agree with you. What exactly are you offering my people?" "Training, equipment, and a chance to prove themselves," Do-hyun said. "The frontier colonies have always been treated like second-class citizens by Earth. Looked down on as backwards, unsophisticated. Join us and show them what you can really do. Human creativity and flexibility are winning battles against technology that should be superior. That is worth something." The governor was quiet for a long moment. "If I allow this, it has to be voluntary. No pressure, no false promises, and I want regular reports on casualties and conditions. The moment I think you are abusing my people, this ends." "Agreed," Kaylee said immediately. Jinha touched a control on his desk. "Then I will put out a general announcement. Anyone interested can meet you at the recruitment center in Dock 12, but Kang, do not make me regret this." 3 days later, Do-hyun stood in an improvised recruitment center staring at the crowd of people waiting outside. There were hundreds of them. More than he had dared to hope for. The interviews began. Engineers came first, eager to work with alien technology. Hyunwoo Lee was a propulsion specialist who had been fired from an Earth corporation for his unconventional ideas. Minji Choi was a systems analyst who found civilian work boring. Sungo Park was fresh out of technical school and looking for adventure. The pilots were even more enthusiastic. Young men and women who had grown up flying cargo haulers and mining ships, dreaming of something more exciting. Hin Kim had logged 10,000 flight hours but never been allowed to join Earth's military because of minor medical issues. Ji-won Nam had been a combat pilot but left service after disagreeing with his commanders. So-bin Oh was barely 20 but flew like she was born in space. Tactical officers came too. Tae-hyun Yu was a former Earth Navy lieutenant who had been passed over for promotion too many times. He took one look at the Velthari ship designs and started suggesting improvements. By the end of the week, they had recruited 210 people. 60 engineers and mechanics, 90 pilots, 40 tactical officers and Marines, 20 support crew for medical logistics and communications. Do-hyun gathered the new recruits in the station's largest meeting hall. They looked nervous and excited in equal measure. He understood the feeling. "I am not going to lie to you," he said. "This will be dangerous. We are fighting an enemy that destroyed an entire empire. Some of you might not come home, but I can promise you this. You will be part of something important. You will have access to technology you have never dreamed of, and you will prove that humans are not some minor species to be ignored. We are innovators. We are survivors. We are the chaos that the galaxy forgot to fear." The crowd erupted in cheers. Do-hyun felt a surge of pride. These were his people. Outcasts and dreamers and rebels perfect. The training began immediately. Human and Velthari crews learning to work together. The culture clash was immediate and often funny. Humans modified equipment without asking permission, horrifying the Velthari. Velthari insisted on formal protocols that bored the humans to tears. But slowly they found a middle ground. Velthari discipline mixed with human flexibility. Do-hyun spent every waking hour teaching his new engineering teams his methods. How to look at systems without being blinded by complexity. How to trust intuition. How to find the elegant, simple solution hiding inside the complicated mess. His breakthrough came 3 weeks into training. Working with Hyunwoo and Minji, he developed what they called the Cascade Protocol. Instead of trying to maintain perfect power stability, they embraced controlled instability. Let the power fluctuate within safe ranges. Let the systems adapt to changing conditions. Let chaos work for them instead of against them. The result was stunning. Ships running the Cascade Protocol operated at 400% of original Velthari efficiency. They could charge weapons faster, regenerate shields quicker, and respond to damage more flexibly. But their success had not gone unnoticed. An Earth Defense Force ship arrived at Hanul Station carrying an official delegation. They demanded a meeting with Kaylee. The Earth representatives were 2 officers in crisp uniforms and a civilian diplomat. They sat across from Kaylee, Do-hyun, and Governor Jinha in a conference room. Earth maintains strict neutrality in alien conflicts, the diplomat said. We cannot allow you to recruit our citizens for your war. They are not your citizens, Jinha said sharply. They are independent colonists who make their own choices. Legal technicalities aside, this recruitment threatens our position. If you drag humans into a war with the Dominion, Earth becomes a target. Kaylee stood slowly. With respect, Earth is already a target. You just do not know it yet. The Dominion expands constantly. They will reach your territory eventually. When that happens, remember who offered you alliance and who you turned away. She looked at each Earth representative in turn. We are not recruiting your citizens. We are offering opportunity to people you marginalized, people you dismissed as backwards and unsophisticated. When we win, remember who stood with us and who hid behind neutrality. The delegation left angry but unable to do anything. Hanul Station was technically independent. Earth had no authority here. That night, Do-hyun stood with Kaylee on an observation deck watching the expanded fleet dock around the station. 12 ships now, all upgraded, all crewed by mixed human Velthari teams. Earth will come around eventually, Kale said, when they see what we accomplish. Or they will condemn us as troublemakers, Do-hyun replied. Perhaps both. She smiled. But that has never stopped humans before. An alarm suddenly blared. Yuna's voice came over the emergency channel, tight with tension. We have a problem. Long-range sensors detected a Dominion fleet. 40 ships. They are heading straight for Hanul Station. Do-hyun ran through the station corridors with Kaylee beside him, heading for the command center. His mind was already working through possibilities and problems. 40 Dominion ships against their 12. The numbers were terrible. Even with his modifications, this was close to impossible. The command center was chaos when they arrived. Governor Jinha stood at the main display watching red markers approach the station. His staff worked frantically at their stations, coordinating evacuation procedures. How long do we have? Kaylee asked. 6 hours until they arrive, Jinha said. Maybe 7 if they slow for tactical positioning. He turned to face her. My station has minimal weapons. Enough to scare off pirates, not enough to fight a battle fleet. We need to evacuate. There are 50,000 people on this station, Do-hyun said. Where would they go? The colony ships in dock can hold 30,000. The rest... Jinha's face was grim. We make hard choices. No, Do-hyun said. The word came out stronger than he intended. Everyone turned to look at him. No evacuations. We fight here. With 12 ships against 40? Jinha shook his head. That is suicide. Maybe not. Do-hyun's mind raced, connecting ideas and possibilities. Governor, this station has massive industrial facilities, right? Fabrication plants, power generation, material processing. Yes, but they are civilian equipment, not weapons. Everything is a weapon if you use it right. Do-hyun pulled up a schematic of the station on the display. Look, you have 6 industrial laser arrays for cutting metal. High-powered, precise, designed to slice through ship hulls. You have fusion reactors that could overload to create electromagnetic pulses. You have mass drivers for launching cargo that could launch anything we load into them. Jinha stared at the display, then at Do-hyun. You want to turn my entire station into a weapon? I want to turn it into a fortress. Do-hyun expanded the view to show the surrounding space. We position our 12 ships here, here, and here. Create a defensive. Subin organized the mass driver crews. Everyone had a role. Everyone was essential. Do-hyun moved between positions, solving problems as they appeared. A power coupling that would not fit. A targeting array that refused to accept non-standard inputs. A ship's AI that kept trying to shut down the dangerous modifications. He solved them all, one after another, trusting his instincts and the capabilities of his teams. With 30 minutes to spare, the last connection was completed. The Cascade Protocol was active. 12 ships and one station, all linked together, sharing power like a single enormous organism. All ships. Report status, Kale ordered from the Nightfall's bridge. One by one, the captains responded. All systems green. All crews ready. The station reported ready as well. Enemy fleet dropping out of hyperspace, Yuna announced. 43 ships. More than we expected. The view screen showed the Dominion fleet materializing in space, a massive formation of warships. They moved with the confidence of overwhelming force. Do-hyun watched the tactical display from his position in the engineering bay. His modifications were about to be tested on a scale he had never imagined. He felt fear, certainly, but also excitement. This was the moment. Success or failure, history or oblivion. They are hailing us, the communications officer reported. Put them through, Kaylee said. A harsh voice filled the bridge. Velthari vessel, you are ordered to surrender immediately. Your resistance is pointless. Submit and your crew will be taken prisoner. Resist and you will be destroyed along with the station you hide behind. Kale smiled, though there was no humor in it. Dominion Fleet, this is Commander Kale of the Velthari. We do not surrender, we do not hide, and we are not alone. Attack us if you dare, but know that you face more than just Velthari today. She closed the channel. All ships, all stations engage at will. Show them what we have built. The Dominion Fleet advanced in a standard assault formation. Textbook tactics, exactly what their military doctrine dictated. Predictable, the human Velthari fleet did the opposite of everything expected. Instead of falling back, they surged forward. Instead of concentrating fire on single targets, they hit multiple ships simultaneously. Instead of maintaining formation, they scattered and swarmed like angry insects. The station's industrial lasers fired, powerful beams designed to cut through meters of reinforced hull plating. They sliced into Dominion shields, overwhelming them through sustained cutting rather than impact force. The mass drivers launched their improvised ammunition at incredible velocity. Frozen waste containers might not have been elegant weapons, but they hit with the force of missiles. The Cascade Protocol proved its worth immediately. When one ship depleted its weapons power, it drew from the others. When shields on one vessel failed, power rerouted to reinforce them. The fleet operated with a flexibility that made it nearly impossible to predict. Nari piloted the Nightfall like a fighter pilot, making the large vessel dance through space. She led 3 Dominion ships on a chase that ended with them in the crossfire of 4 Allied vessels. All 3 exploded within seconds of each other. Taejin coordinated the human tactical officers, using Earth military strategies that the Dominion had never encountered. Feints and ambushes, concentrated fire followed by rapid dispersal. Aggressive positioning that seemed suicidal but left enemies confused and vulnerable. The Velthari contributed their own strengths. Their targeting systems, when used flexibly instead of rigidly, were incredibly accurate. Their shield technology, boosted by the Cascade Protocol, absorbed punishment that should have destroyed ships. Their discipline and coordination provided structure to the creative chaos of human tactics. The battle raged for 2 hours. Ships on both sides took damage. The station's hull was breached in 3 places. 2 of the Allied ships lost power and drifted, their crews evacuating. But the Dominion was losing worse. 10 ships destroyed, 15 more damaged and falling back. Their formation had collapsed into disorder. Do-hyun watched the power distribution readings, making constant adjustments. The network was holding but stressed to its limits. Then he saw an opportunity. Kaylee, if we concentrate 80% of our total power into the Nightfall's main weapons for 30 seconds, we could punch through their flagship's shields, but it would leave the other ships vulnerable. Do it, Kaylee ordered without hesitation. All ships defensive formation around the Nightfall. Give Do-hyun his 30 seconds. The fleet shifted. The remaining 10 operational ships formed a barrier around the Nightfall. Power flowed through the Cascade network, converging on the flagship. The Nightfall's weapons charged to levels that should have been impossible. Firing, Nyxra said. The beam that erupted from the Nightfall was blue-white and brilliant. It crossed the space between the fleets in an instant and struck the Dominion flagship's shields. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the shields shattered like glass. The beam continued through, cutting the massive warship in half. The Dominion fleet broke. Ships that had been pressing the attack suddenly reversed course. Some continued firing as they retreated. But the coordination was gone. They had come to crush a minor resistance. Instead, they had been mauled by an enemy that fought like nothing they had encountered before. "They are withdrawing," Tajin reported. "Calculating hyperspace jumps. They are running." The bridge crew erupted in cheers. Humans and Velthari embraced. Forgetting the differences in their biology and culture, they had done the impossible. Governor Jinha's face appeared on the screen. "Remind me never to doubt human engineering again." The station held. Casualties were surprisingly light. "We won?" Kaylee stood and looked around at her crew. "This victory will be remembered. Today, 12 ships and 1 station defeated a fleet 4 times our size. The Dominion learned that we are not finished, that we have found allies who bring something they cannot counter: innovation, creativity, and the courage to break every rule." She walked to where Do-hyun was monitoring the power network. "You made this possible. Your modifications, your protocols, your refusal to accept that anything is impossible." "We all made this possible," Do-hyun said. "Human and Velthari together. That is the real weapon." In the hours after the battle, as the crews worked to repair damage and rescue survivors, Jinha broadcast the battle footage across the entire Frontier network. The message spread quickly. Within days, it reached Earth itself. The footage showed everything: the impossible odds, the creative tactics, the human-Velthari cooperation, the stunning victory. It changed everything. Recruitment requests flooded in. Hundreds of ships, thousands of volunteers. Frontier colonies that had been neutral suddenly wanted to join. Even Earth's government, which had tried to stop the recruitment, quietly began offering resources and intelligence. 2 weeks after the battle, Do-hyun stood on the observation deck of the Nightfall, watching the expanded fleet. 200 ships now, all equipped with his modifications. More were being built. The shipyards around Hanul Station worked non-stop, constructing vessels that combined Velthari technology with human design philosophy. Kaylee and Nyxra joined him at the window. The twins had changed since that first day in the derelict ship. They moved more casually now, smiled more often, had learned to embrace uncertainty instead of fearing it. "The Velthari Empire is being reborn," Kaylee said, "but not as it was. This new empire will be built on partnership, on flexibility, on the understanding that the best solutions come from combining different perspectives." "The Dominion thought they had crushed us," Nyxra added. "Instead, they gave us desperation. And when you combine desperation with human ingenuity, you get something dangerous." Do-hyun nodded. He thought about how far they had come. From one salvage engineer fixing a dead power core, to a fleet of hundreds preparing to take back an empire. It seemed impossible. But humans specialized in impossible, so what is next? He asked. Kaylee smiled. "We take back everything they stole. System by system. Planet by planet. And we do it your way. No more rigid doctrine. No more predictable tactics. We bring chaos to their order. We prove that innovation beats tradition. We show them that they picked a fight with the wrong species." The fleet began to move, hundreds of ships powering up in synchronization. The Cascade Protocol linked them all, their power cores pulsing in harmony. From space, it created a light show visible across the entire system, a display of power and unity that the galaxy had never seen before. This was not the end. It was barely the beginning. But it was a beginning built on a simple truth: that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their weapons. It was their ability to look at problems that seemed impossible and ask, why not? Do-hyun turned from the window, ready to return to engineering. There was always more work to do, more systems to improve, more innovations to discover. That was fine with him. He had found his purpose. He had found his people. And together, they were going to change the galaxy. The stars waited. The Dominion waited. And somewhere out there, other species watched and wondered if they too could benefit from human chaos. The answer, Do-hyun knew, was yes. But first they had to prove it. One battle at a time, one innovation at a time, one impossible victory at a time. The future was uncertain, but uncertainty was where humans thrived.